We are in the city of Batumi, Georgia. Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to Georgia. We are here again in Georgia, but today we're in an entirely new city. Right here on the beautiful coast of the beautiful Black Sea, we are in the city of Batumi, Georgia. Batumi is a very interesting city here in western Georgia. We explored eastern Georgia, parts of it at least, in our visit to Tbilisi, the capital. And now we're going to have a base here in Batumi to explore the western part of the country. So today, I think we'll check out a little bit of the area around here near the beach. And we'll talk a little bit more about why Batumi is such an interesting city in Georgia. So come along. Thanks for clicking on the video. If you want to help out the channel and help it grow, I really would appreciate it. Click on the like button down there, the subscribe button, and the little bell next to it to be notified for when new videos drop. It really helps the channel grow because it's going to help the YouTube algorithm recognize this content and spread it to other YouTube viewers. If you'd like to support the channel monetarily, I would appreciate that as well. You can leave a super thanks by clicking this thanks button here and give a small donation to the channel. I appreciate your support. So back to the video, enjoy. So as you can see from the beautiful beach here on a sunny, warm day here in the early summer in Batumi, you can see that tourism is a big part of the economy here in Batumi. And Batumi is a very interesting city, like I mentioned, mainly because Batumi has a lot of like big skyscrapers, like this one back here, that are all along the beachfront. The long beachfront promenade that we're walking on here, can actually walk on it, and it continues all the way down the entire length of the city. And there are tons of skyscrapers along the skyline, and a lot of them are very new. Actually, they're new construction. In fact, back in like 2010, Batumi, the entire coastline of Batumi, there wasn't like really even a single skyscraper, and now there's tons of them. Massive construction boom in the last 30 or so years here in Batumi because of a lot of foreign capital being invested into building skyscrapers, hotels, apartment buildings, condos, casinos, all kinds of stuff here in Batumi. So while Batumi is a very old city, just like other cities in Georgia, because Georgia, this is a very old part of the world that's been inhabited for many thousands of years. Batumi is also a very new city because there's a lot of new construction here. And it has a very interesting history, especially the more recent history, like post fall of the Soviet Union. Now, we talked about the history of Georgia going all the way back to like the ancient Greeks and the Romans. And Georgia has changed hands between many, many different empires, right? Roman, Byzantine, briefly Arab empires, Mongols, Ottoman Turks, Russian Empire, and eventually the Soviet Union. And that history here in Batumi is pretty much the same, or more or less the same, as the history of the rest of Georgia. And it's only after the fall of the Soviet Union that the history here gets a little more complicated, a little more interesting. And what happened was, as you can see, some more views of skyscrapers. We're actually right here in front of this huge tower which has all of the Georgian like letters of the alphabet on the tower. It's actually quite a cool landmark here in Georgia. And I think as we walk, we can walk down towards that giant skyscraper with the crazy Ferris wheel built into the side of it, and eventually head down to a part here along the coast where we can get on a cable car, take it up to the top of a hill and get a beautiful view across the entire city. In the immediate time after the fall of the Soviet Union, Georgia became an independent republic. A man named Aslan Abashidze was appointed here as the head of like the Adjaran parliament, the state parliament, the state of Adjara. And it's really like an autonomous republic. It was then the autonomous republic, it still is today, the autonomous republic of Adjara. And Abashidze was in charge. And he was appointed by the president of Georgia, but the president of Georgia was like almost immediately challenged and overthrown in a coup, which led Georgia into a civil war in the early 1990s, which we've talked about in some of the previous videos from Tbilisi. And that civil war was kind of like the perfect excuse for Abashidze to declare a state of emergency here and basically like lock down the entire Republic of Adjara. He closed all the borders between Adjara and the rest of Georgia, and he dissolved the Adjaran parliament like for a certain amount of time. And at the end of the Civil War, there was a new president of Georgia. That president was Eduard Shevardnadze. And Abashidze was like a pretty wily and cunning politician. I don't know how else to explain it. From what I've learned, he was very good at playing political powers against each other for his own gain. And so he supported the new president, Shevardnadze, who had like a very tenuous grip on control in the wake of the Civil War. You can see here we're coming up to a beautiful square here in Batumi. If we continue down that way along the coast, I think we will end up at the cable car station, where we can take that cable car up to the top of the hill. But going back to our guy Aslan Abashidze, he supported the new president, but he also knew that he had ways that he could leverage that support, and he was very good at doing that. And so for basically about a decade, he would do things to make sure that one, Adjara maintained as much like independence from the rest of the government, the like national government, as possible, so that he could just do his own thing here, and also like that he would receive let's just say funding from government and other like avenues of investment, if you get my drift. Because Batumi is right here, like right next to the Turkish border. In fact, you could get in a taxi and be at the Turkish border in like 20 minutes. And because Abashidze controlled the border crossing from Turkey, he basically got a piece of everything that came across that border for almost a decade. And a lot of the money that comes into Batumi to this day is money that comes mainly through tourism from Turkey. Because Turkey, gambling is illegal in Turkey. Gambling is not illegal here. So you get a lot of Turkish tourists that come across the border, they bring a ton of money, they gamble here in the casinos, and it's earned Batumi the nickname of Las Vegas of the Black Sea. But getting back to Abashidze, like I said, for about a decade, he sort of ran this whole Republic of Adjara as his own like little authoritarian country. He set up border controls between the rest of Georgia and the Republic of Adjara. He raised his own paramilitary force to act as like security for the Republic, but he was very, very wise in that he always publicly declared that Adjara was not a separatist republic like the other separatist republics of South Ossetia and Abkhazia here in Georgia. So he like towed that line of being a separatist republic and being a simply autonomous republic, which was very politically savvy. This would really only last so long for Abashidze, and that was because in 2003 there was another revolution, the Rose Revolution, that led to the overthrow of President Shevardnadze and the new president, the famous former president here in Georgia, Mikhail Saakashvili. Saakashvili was an anti-corruption reformist, and because Abashidze was, well, a pretty corrupt guy and also had supported Shevardnadze, Saakashvili like went after him right away. And ultimately, in 2004, due to pressure from the national government under Saakashvili, and also internal pressure from the people here in Adjara protesting and sort of rising up against Abashidze, he resigned. He resigned as president of the Autonomous Republic of Adjara, and he was going to be charged criminally with lots of different things, but basically like embezzlement and murder, which are things that you don't really want to be charged with. And so what did he do? Did he claim his innocence and go to court and try and defend himself against these charges? No. He blew up all the bridges between Adjara and the rest of Georgia, and then he fled to Moscow. So that was the end of the rule here under Aslan Abashidze. And in trying to repair the relationship between the national government of Georgia and the Autonomous Republic of Adjara, the Saakashvili government allowed Adjara to remain as autonomous as you can possibly be without being a separatist region. The only authority that the national government has over Adjara is they have the authority to nominate the members of parliament here, the state or the Republic Parliament, and they also have the authority to contradict government decisions, but only if they violate the Constitution. So pretty limited authority. Another thing that they did to sort of entice closer relationship between Adjara and the national government, to sort of bring them back into the fold, was they invested a lot of infrastructure money here to build infrastructure for the city. Because like I mentioned, Batumi was not a very big city. Just as recently as 2010, when all the skyscrapers started going up. And in order to build out a city like this from what was a pretty small resort city, you need infrastructure. And with that infrastructure came opportunities for foreign investment. There is a ton of money coming in from foreign companies. In fact, a lot of the hotel casinos, the big hotel casinos here in Batumi, are U.S. brand hotels, Marriott, Sheraton, and such. I think there's a Hilton, there's a Wyndham, I think. I don't know. There's a lot. And they're actually, before the first Trump presidency was a plan that was pretty far along to have a Trump tower, a Trump like tower, hotel, casino, condos. That actually fell through though, so there is no Trump tower in Batumi. But what there is are lots of big skyscrapers that were paid for with like oil money from the Gulf states. The Gulf states in the like Arabian Peninsula, UAE and Saudi Arabia, and they've invested a lot of money. There's a lot of money from there, that oil money that came here to Batumi and built a lot of like big condo buildings, hotels, casinos, things like that, with advertisements saying that they're really like investment. They're offered as apartments for investment specifically. So there are definitely like foreign money from Gulf states coming in and building these apartments, but then also like the people that are buying them are usually foreigners who are just parking their money in these condos. Batumi is also a big port city. You can see a ship parked right here. We're near the port. It's right over there. And one of the two major port cities on the Black Sea for Georgia, this and Poti, which is further north. Head out here. Head out. There's people fishing out here. You can see the development, not just here in Batumi, but also like up the coast, further north, and all the way up the coast. So a very interesting place, Batumi. A place that is both old and very new, and that has developed like the fastest growing city really in Georgia. And now it's the second largest city in Georgia, with population just under 200,000 people. It's a very big city by Georgian standards, because Georgia's population for the entire country is just over 3 million people. So a city of 200,000 is very big. It's very big for Georgia. And now in the summer, it definitely feels a lot like there are a lot more than 200,000 people here, because there's tons of tourists. And now we're not even at the height of the summer, but there are a lot of tourists here. I've ran into them, mostly like Russian and Turkish tourists. I've heard a lot of Turkish being spoken on the streets, especially around here, like near the beach and the touristy areas. I've heard a lot of Russian being spoken. I mean, of course, you hear a lot of Russian being spoken in Georgia in general, but that's usually by people who are older people who lived in Georgia during the Soviet era. And I'm hearing a lot of younger people speaking Russian, because I think there are a lot of Russian tourists that come here as well. Very popular tourist destination. Anyway, let's find this cable car station. I want to get across the street here real quick. You can see there's some beautiful old construction too in the city, and a lot of it has been restored. So you have like these huge, big, flashy glass skyscrapers with insanely expensive hotels or insanely expensive condominiums. And you also have like some beautiful old architecture here that's been like really maintained and restored. It gives Georgia, or this part of Georgia, like this city, a very like interesting vibe. It's a very interesting vibe. And also because it is so close to Georgia, it is so close to Turkey, you see a lot of like halal restaurants, a lot of Turkish restaurants. So that's a different vibe than, a very different vibe than Tbilisi. All right, we're here at the cable car station, Argo Cable Car. And this, you can see the cable cars right there, goes all the way up to like a hill, up at the top of the city, up to the top of the city where we can see a beautiful view. So So let's head in. We'll see how much it costs to get up there. It's not going to be free, that's for sure. But we'll head in, see how much it costs. We'll get a really, really nice view up on the top of the hill, I think. Be a great way to finish off the video. Okay, we got our ticket, we got in. It was 33 lari, which is about, I don't know, $12 or $13 US. That's a round trip to the top and back. There's also like some other stuff, like a little museum and stuff. I think it's for kids at the top station. I didn't pay for any of that because I really just want to go up there and get a good view. Here we are, cable car station. And this cable car looks pretty similar to some of the other ones we've been on in the other cities that we visited. From up here at the very, very top, the cable car station here, the top cable car station. And like I said, there's a whole building that has, I think, like a museum and some other stuff in it that we're not actually going to check out today. There is, of course, up here, a couple of stray dogs hanging out in the shade because we are, of course, in Georgia. And anywhere there's like a nice shady spot with tourists, there's going to be some stray dogs. But the highlight up here is the view. Beautiful view all the way out to the sea, the skyline. You can see all the skyscrapers out there. And from out here on the like viewpoint, there's like some places to take pictures as well. And from out here on the viewpoint, you can see all the way down, like south of the city, where the airport is, and down all the way probably to the Turkish border from here on a clear day. It is pretty clear today. Beautiful, look at this. Look at it. Batumi. And just imagine, 2010, all those skyscrapers along the coastline there, that huge chunk of skyscrapers right there. None of it was there in 2010. They've really gone crazy with the building. And there's the port of Batumi. And further up the coast. That's how we came in, actually. We came in from Tbilisi on a train. Really nice Swiss-made Stadler trains that the Georgian Railway has. It was a really nice, comfortable ride, actually. We came in through there. The train station is interesting. It's not in the center of the city. Most European cities, especially like, well, in Tbilisi for sure, the train station is right in the center of the city. And there's a metro stop right next to it. So you can get off the train, hop on the metro, and get anywhere you need to in the city. Not here in Batumi. In Batumi, the train station is like way out there outside the city. When you pull in on the train, you can see the city out in front of you. And you have to take a taxi to get in. And then once you hit the city, it's like crazy traffic. Because the planning of a city like this, it wasn't necessarily like planned very well because of how quickly it grew in population. That's something we're going to do here in Batumi, is we're going to make a video about the crazy planning and growth of Batumi, and also the very eclectic, flashy architecture that you can see, like here, these skyscrapers. There is some crazy eclectic architecture here in Batumi, and we're going to make a video about that. Some other things we want to do while we're here in Batumi is not just here in Batumi, actually. I wanted to make this, like I said, my home base to explore western Georgia, and that means going to the Kutaisi region. Kutaisi is another city in Georgia, the fourth largest city, and it's about, 2-hour drive. So we're going to rent a car, we're going to drive out to Kutaisi. We're going to have a little mini road trip here in western Georgia, just like we did in eastern Georgia from Tbilisi, and check out some interesting stuff around Kutaisi as well. I think that's going to do it. From here, up on this hill, quite far away, actually, it was quite a long ride on the cable car, but from up here, I think we're going to call it for this video. Our first video from here in Batumi, and there's going to be plenty more coming from here in Batumi, and also, like I mentioned, from Kutaisi and other parts of western Georgia. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and we will see you in the next one.